Now, this is how the birth of Jesus Christ came about. We're not very old, and we have the basics for this story. Most kids can tell us that there was a lady, and an angel came to her and said that she was going to have a baby. And she told her boyfriend, and he was a little confused. And we also know, as we get a little bit older, that we understand a little bit more that there were more births in the New and Old Testament of curious origin. We know that there were both kings involved, which tells us that there was diversity. We know that there were shepherds involved, and in those days the shepherds were the outcasts of society because they were the poor, the marginalized, and didn't really associate with folks very much. And then we have the baby. I mean, listen to this place tonight. We know what babies are like. They're vulnerable, and they're sweet, and they're defenseless, and they're pretty dependent. But have you ever thought that we're not celebrating Jesus-mas, or baby Jesus-mas, or baby-mas? We're celebrating Christmas. Christ-mas. And so while we have a lot of hoopla, and we have a nice crib, nice job carrying baby Jesus in tonight, it's not about the baby. That was only the beginning. And so we have to take just a couple minutes tonight and think about what this Christmas is all about, because that changes the whole story. We started out tonight's gospel saying, now this is how the birth of Jesus Christ came about. But when we start to answer the question about Christ, it's why. And so instead we would say tonight in the gospel, now this is why the birth of Jesus Christ came about. The word Christ has several meanings. The first one is meaning anointed. It literally means that you have sacred poured out all over your head. So in the Old Testament, anybody who was anointed a king literally had oil poured over them until it dripped down their face and onto their clothes. It was a sign of God's favor. And if you were anointed, you were chosen for a special purpose. And that special purpose, most of the time in the Old Testament, was being a king. Now, that's not a king that just has a fancy car and a neat house. In those days, the king was looked upon as a leader and a ruler and a protector. And so another word that came to be synonymous with Christ was Messiah, the Messiah. And so the why that we think about tonight, it's great we celebrate Christmas, but if we don't understand why it ever happened, then tonight is just a passing thing that happens on the calendar. We get Santa over with, we get the rest of the needles vacuumed up over the rug, and we're done. But if we think about the why, we're never done. So let me ask you a few questions tonight. First one is this. What is the worst thing you've ever been through in your life? You'd never want to go through it again. The most painful, the most devastating. That's why he was born. What's the best thing that ever happened to you? The happiest day of your life. The most exciting thing that you've ever been a part of. That's why he was born. Who is the one person that you despise the most? That you have a hard time forgiving? That just the thought of raises the hairs on the back of your neck, even if you don't have hair on the back of your neck anymore? He was born for that person. And who's the person in this life that you love the most? That you can't imagine being without in this life? He was born for that person. You see, the Christ that we celebrate is not bound by culture or race or gender or political affiliation or religion or denomination. It's not bound by anything. The Christ, the anointed, the Messiah was born for all of that and more. And unfortunately, I think that many times we kind of leave the baby at the crib. Oh, they're nice when they're little, but wait till they grow up. Well, he did grow up. It wasn't the baby that became the Christ. It was the adult. It was the adult who became a savior. It was the adult who became a ruler and a protector. It was the adult who promised that he would never, ever, ever leave us alone. That's what this is about. It's not about the cute baby. It's not about the shepherds. It's not about the cattle. It's not about the cattle are lowing. It's not about grandma got run over by a reindeer, despite what Harry Wolfacole says. The reason that Jesus was born was because of a relationship he wanted to have with us. You see, a king, a ruler, a savior can't do that if he doesn't have a relationship. And too many times, too many Christians leave him at the crib. He's just a little statue. It's safe that way. We don't have to get involved. When the holiday's over, we can wrap him back up in that fake snow and put him back in a box, and he's safe until next year, and I don't have to worry about Jesus. But we're not celebrating Jesus-mas. We're not celebrating baby-mas. We're celebrating Jesus, the Christ-mas, Christmas. And you and I can only call ourselves Christians if we have a relationship with him. It's not always the best. Sometimes it could be strengthened, but a relationship nonetheless. That's why you and I are called to make a difference in our relationships and the relationships of those around us. So my simple but powerful challenge for you for this Christmas season, the next few hours, the next few days, but also for the new year, is to see if you believe in baby-mas or Jesus-mas, or if you believe in Christmas. And if you believe in Christmas, then you'll understand that this is about the Christ, who came to have a relationship with us, who wants us to change the relationships we have with each other, because we cannot afford to leave the baby at the crib. Merry Christmas.